Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we welcome back on Jessica, the parking director for the City of Lynn Parking Department. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Thank you for having me again.
Of course, I know it's not your favorite thing, but I promise we'll make it quick and easy. We're just gonna stick to the script, which for you is parking on sidewalks. That is a big issue in the city, yes.
Parking on sidewalk, it has become a big problem in the city. A lot of our streets are so narrow that cars feel like they need to get half of their car, if not all of their car, off of the street. But that creates a safety issue, and we can't get wheelchairs, baby carriages, or just civilians walking down the street. So it has come before Traffic Commission, and Traffic Commission has voted to increase the violation. So parking on a sidewalk, the violation is now $50 instead of $30. We have decided for the next couple of weeks we're going to give out flyers for cars that we know, for streets that we know usually park on the sidewalks, and then we're going to start issuing the citations.
To give people a little bit of leeway, right? You know, just because they may genuinely not hear about it, so you want to give them.
Right. So that's what we try to do that with the snow permits also. We kind of give them a couple of weeks. I have my second shift, third shift go out and put flyers on cars, again, on the streets that we know are notorious for it. Yeah. Just to give a heads up that this is what's happening. And then we give citations, but it's usually 2 to 3 weeks that we'll give the warning first, which is the flyer, and it will look like it's a citation, but it's really just a warning.
Okay, it's really something. So you may not like the increase, but like you said, the big thing is it's a safety concern. You know, you don't want anyone, wheelchair, carriage, or even just a person, to have to go out onto the street to get around a car, because that's not safe.
So we were getting a lot of calls for that, especially from people in wheelchairs that were saying that they had to go into the street, or they would have their dog or another person with them, and they couldn't safely walk down the street. So we can't have that. I think another big concern for people parking on sidewalks is they have garages at their cars, because cars are so much bigger than they originally were when houses were built. Right. So they can't fit their cars in the garage, so they'll park half on their property, and then the back end of their car will be blocking the sidewalk, so we can't have that either. No. So the flyer does show a picture of that, where your car is half in the garage spot and half on the sidewalk. So you too will get a violation and a notice that you can't park like that.
Yeah. But you're being very transparent, very forward about it, of this is what's allowed, this isn't.
Exactly.
Because up to now, you said it's a little bit of discretion with parking enforcement. They may go and see someone's a little bit on the sidewalk, but if people can safely pass, like, that's okay.
So I tell them to use their discretion. However, what we might think is okay, I now have other departments that have invested money in sidewalks, like DPW, Community Development, and they're calling and they're like, hey, can you go down there and ticket them? Because we just paid for a brand new sidewalk, and people are on it, and the weight of the car is crumbling the sidewalk, so we can't have that. Right. But then again, we kind of give a warning first, because we can tell who we've given a warning to and who we haven't. Oh, okay. It will come up, so we can tell. So if we've given you a couple of warnings, we have no other choice but to give you a violation for it.
Because at that point, I mean, you've gotten it. I mean,
most people know. If you're parking on the sidewalk and you have like maybe 2 tires on, versus having your whole car on the sidewalk, and that might sound crazy, but cars do that. They'll park their whole car on the sidewalk, and people will have to go all the way in the street to get around.
You said it sounds crazy, but no, I've seen it. I've seen places where I go and like, okay, there's a car. Okay, we're gonna go around it, and that's just me walking. I don't even have anything else.
Yeah, and it's not fair, and it creates a safety issue. And if we're adults and we have to do that, what about the kids that are going to school, or the after-school programs, or it's summer, and that's why we're kind of like taking this initiative to get the information out there now. Is that kids are out, they're biking, they're walking, they're going to their summer programs, and we want them to be safe.
Yeah, you definitely want them to be safe and maybe get this initiative off the ground going, and then once kids go back to school as well, if they're biking, walking to school, at that point, this has been more established, right?
Exactly. So we're also asking that if you live on a street that's very narrow and you have neighbors that are parking on the street, and you know, you want to give us a call just to, you know, send. It's not so much like 1-800-DROP-A-DIME, but more like, you know, can you let my neighbors know that they can't do this? And again, we are going to give a warning. It's not going to be an immediate citation.
No.
You know, but we need to know. We know of some streets that are notorious for it, but there are residential areas that we're not familiar with, that it does happen in, that we want to make sure that they're aware of the information too. And we won't know unless, you know, neighbors call and say, my street is a bad street, can you come and just give out some flyers?
Exactly. And like you were even saying to me, you only have 9 people in your department in a city of 130,000, you're saying like 60,000 cars. You do need some help with that because you can't be everywhere at once.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's why I say when people call and they're like, you know, I live on such and such street and you never come down here. I'm like, hold on. I just want to tell you how much staff I have. And then I can look it up and I'm like, you said don't come down your street, but in this year I've given 1,000 tickets on your street for numerous, you know, violations. So I do come down your street. You might not always see us, but we're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in the areas, like you said, that maybe you've identified as you tend to give a lot of citations there. Like you said, the narrower streets, there are a lot of those in Lynn. It's an older city. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I live in the city, so I travel the city
Yeah,
streets
exactly.
all the time. I make notes. You know, this is a Chatham Street is one of the streets that's very narrow, and that's a street that cars are notorious for getting on completely on the sidewalk. There's on Chatham Street, there's Ingalls School, there's the kids that come from Marshall, the kids that come from English. 3 big schools on this one long street, and the cars are on the sidewalk. It's a lot of potential hazards.
Yeah. And if you think your car's not safe sticking out, it's definitely not safe for a kid to be out in the middle of the street, right?
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm sure you've seen it too there's been so much construction in the city as well, especially during the summer, that even adds to it because that can make streets even narrower, that can cause detours or other elements like that.
Exactly. Or just restrict parking altogether, right? And as we were talking earlier, we said, you know, what do you do in that case? I had calls today from French Street. The water department was working on French Street, and the residents were like, hey, where do we park? There's already no parking on one side of the street. Now we have completely no parking.
Right.
And what we say is go to the nearest lot. For them, it would be the School Street, Ellis Street lot. You do have to pay the kiosk to go in there, but if someone can't afford to pay to park in there, they can give us a call, and we know the time restrictions, so we'll kind of look the other way for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be fair about it too, of course.
Absolutely.
And in some cases too, like you might even have, like with the UV pump station being installed there's temporary passes that can be given out for residents so that they're still able to park around there.
So in that case, what the mayor has done, he's asked us to create temporary resident passes on certain streets, which we have done. We've also told them, listen, if you're having guests and you forget to do a visitor pass or something, just give us a call, right? We're trying to accommodate everyone through all of this.
Right.
It's a lot. The best thing to do, if there's any question, or just to reach out.
Yeah. And you've said it, multiple times, calling, reaching out. You want people to reach out and communicate with you.
Right.
That
I don't
really
want to
is
give a ticket, regardless of what people think. We're not here just to give tickets, right? We want to help you alleviate whatever parking issues residents have. So the best thing to do is to call.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, that people might think, oh, you just want to give tickets. You're like, no, I don't.
I don't, and I don't have the staff.
It's like, no, I don't want to be 50 places. I really just want to help educate and show you so that everybody can be safe in this scenario.
Absolutely. And there's parking here. The city has enough city lots in on-street parking. It's just, it's not always going to be right in front of the place that you want to go to or right in front of your house.
No. Oh, no, I've had to walk pretty far down the street before going to City Hall or other places. You find it, but sometimes you gotta look a little bit.
Yeah, especially at night, our city lots are more than half empty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so during the day, our lots are full for day permits, but night permits, they're pretty empty.
So you could maybe get into one of those if you happen to live near one.
From 7 at night to 7 in the morning. And you wouldn't have to worry about it.
There you go.
And your car would be nice and safe.
That's true. Lot parking is very much, can be favored by some. I'm trying to think. I feel like we ran through everything. You were just
That was
knocking
good.
out all
Just
the questions.
giving you everything.
Yes, you were. But I know I've probably been a moment, but was there anything else that I hadn't mentioned about sidewalk parking or anything else that had been
No,
mentioned?
I just say that if anyone ever has any concerns or parking issues or future questions, or they see notices coming on their, at their door saying that they have no parking towards the end of the week or whatever time, just to give us a call, and we'll try to help within every way that we can.
All right, well, that all sounds good. And I want to thank you again so much for really coming on to give this information and let people in the city know how the parking department's doing.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. And of course, you can go online to the City of Lynn's website to learn more. Call them if you have any questions. But once again, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests.